got nothing. I trust you. I'm glad we're just getting to talk to you. You know.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'll get a quick intro and then we'll just free flow. Like whatever y'all got. I'll try to keep them around at an hour or less. So we should have y'all off by 10, hopefully. But I mean, if it's good talk, then it might last a little longer. Okay, so let me click record on this audio. Okay. All right, 3, 2, 1. What's going on, everyone? We are here, and I'm super excited for today's episode. Not entirely sure when this is going to come out. I'm thinking about putting together an interview week sometime next week, perhaps. Maybe next week, Thanksgiving week. But I'm excited. We have officially 3 individuals that are good friends of mine that here in Nashville. Thankfully, they're all here. They're repping. They're all here. Y'all see them. This is officially Cain Band, Taylor. So it's Taylor Matz,
Right.
Madison Johnson, Logan Cain, but this is Cain Band. Okay, so off the top for y'all, and whoever wants to, I don't know, however y'all are siblings. So siblings here as well, by the way. For those that have never heard of Cain, can I get just from whoever a just quick intro and description of who Cain is?
Taylor.
Go ahead. Okay. We are 3 siblings from Hartselle, Alabama. We draw influences from Southern rock and R&B soul music, and we are singing for the King of Kings, and we're a new band, and we got the number 2 song in the country. Hallelujah!
Okay.
That was good.
So the song in the country, we cannot gloss over that. What is the name of the song? Is that Rise Up, I would assume?
That is Rise Up.
Yeah.
And it is
Okay.
on the Christian Airplay Billboard chart. So that means that it is being heard the second most. So right now it's being heard by 9 million people a week, which is just a staggering number.
That's incredible. That is incredible.
Yeah,
how does it feel like number 2 song? What's number 1 song? Do y'all know?
Chris Tomlin, Who You Are to Me, is number 1, and then our song.
Okay. Well, that's incredible. How does it feel being able to say that? Like, we have the number 2 song in the country.
What it feels is not real at all, because I think that's been the good thing about COVID is that, like, our lives haven't changed at all. Like, we're still just going to the grocery store, living our life. And then we got to go do something the other night where we were at the Ryman, and we got to talk to some people at Caleb. And that was our first instance of, like, getting to just talk to the radio people, and they were so excited to tell us what the song meant to them. And it was like, whoa, this is the first time we're seeing the reach of the song, because beyond
That's
that,
awesome.
we're just going to Kroger and hanging out the house.
And I'll add to that, Joshua, that with us being new artists this year and this being our first song ever at Christian radio, before the pandemic, the expectation was the hope was that the song would get to number 20. Our team said, if we can get to number 20, that is a huge success. And then the quarantine happened, and we were not able to promote the song at all. It was solely on the shoulders of our radio team and in the hands of our God. And I just think how better for God to have shown out to say, like, I will make it better than any of your effort could have. I will take it further than any of your trying could. So
That's good.
it is, you know what I mean? Like, how does it feel to say that? It feels surreal, but it brings me peace more than, like, gravitas or whatever. It makes me feel like, wow, every time I get to say that, I get to say that about what God did. None of that points back to us, you know? So
that's pretty cool.
At home.
At home.
Yeah. That's what's up. Okay, so speaking of home, let's just go back and we'll come back. I guess preference. Check it out. Rise Up, available where? Where's everywhere? I'm assuming YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever it might be. Okay, check them out for sure. It's so interesting. Before I continue, so in our gym, we lift at 5 a.m, and we put on Jeff puts on some radio station. I don't know what station it is. Every morning, I hear Cain. It don't matter if it's Rise Up. For a while, the commission would play. My Father and Me, I think that's what it's called. Like, and I'm like, you know, you go 30 minutes, there they go again. You know, so it's just it's kind of cool, which is what you kind of talked on, Logan, about how I remember having, I think Madison, we talked on this. We had a conversation at your home where this was maybe 2 years ago, I want to say, and we kind of touched on, you were saying how y'all had this, you know, vision and this dream that, you know, y'all are pitching the labels and a label might pick you up and all these things. And it's just kind of cool, like seeing the other side a little bit, because it's kind of like what you said, Logan, about being able to look back and show like, hey, look what God did in our lives. Because there are some points where it seemed like, you know, I mean, I'm sure y'all had doubts about what would
down in the mouth. Like Josh and Lydia came over for dinner, and I was just like, I don't know. I was almost talking in past tense about our music. Just like, this is all the stuff that I wanted, but I'm like, I don't know. You know, I'm getting older, like all this stuff. And you were just like, it's going to happen. Like, you were so confident and so positive, and just like, you can't talk like that. You just have to like believe it's going to happen. So I feel like it's on you. Like, you believe so much more than I ever could.
I think it's one thing about you all, you three, and then we'll get into the story because I can go all day bragging on y'all. But you can just tell when there are people, because there's a lot of people that have talent. Like, there's a lot of people that have talent. I see that. Like, I'm an NFL agent. There's a lot of guys that have talent. But you can tell when there's something else, but you can't describe it. And that's, I think, the beauty of it, where it's like, okay, they got something. I don't know what it is, but they have it, and a lot of people don't. And I think that's something that's kudos to y'all. You know, it's not by accident that y'all are where you are, for sure. But okay, going back, y'all are siblings. Okay, the oldest is Taylor, so I'm gonna allow Taylor to tell just a little. Can we get a backdrop of? I know you said you're from Hartselle, Alabama, but just maybe about your upbringing, growing up, how y'all got into singing, all of the things, like anything you might have.
Yes. Okay, so we're 3 and 3 years. So my mom had, 3 to 1 year old all just right there. So we shared a room for way too long, but we were so close. I feel like I started playing piano when I was 4. And then there's home videos of us just kind of teaching each other how to sing, and all, like, music is always going on in the background. But our mom and dad, they pastor a church, and anybody that's listening, if you've ever been to church or your parents are pastors, you know that you will be called up on stage at any given moment. Got to be ready. So I kind of feel like getting used to the stage and entertainment was just from mom and dad, like, come on up here and sing. And we have home video of that. So I really do think the backdrop of our life has been the church, and been God's faithfulness the whole time. And just like Christian music heavily influenced where we are now. And I think it's funny, we'll get into it later, but us trying to do country music, it's just funny that, you know, we grew up with Stephen Curtis Chapman and Amy Grant. We didn't grow up with Merle Haggard and Johnny Cash. So it's awesome to see the full story come together now that we're getting to meet these people that we grew up listening to. So, Matt, do you want to add anything else?
Well, I was going to ask Madison, for y'all, at what point did it go from, so just to paint a picture, you know, you grew up in the church, you know, I'm assuming y'all are singing as a part of the church, all three together. When did it go from, okay, you know, we're in the choir or whatever you want to call it, to we want to do this like for real? Like, when was that time?
Well, I would say the transition from like being kids to leading happened really young. Taylor was leading corporate worship at age 13. And then, that's pretty young to be like, it makes me want to give more kudos to our parents, just because like we were doing skits. By the time we were in high school, we were like leading camps and like preaching sermons. I think that I was in my teens when I spoke my first sermon at church for the congregation. And that is something that
That's
was
pretty cool.
me, but when I think about it, was setting us up for our future. So, but it wasn't until college that we even had the idea that this could be a career. Like that wasn't even on a radar, a possibility or anything like that. And I definitely going into college did not think that I wanted to start a church. I wanted to do the opposite of whatever that was, just because I saw how hard it was on mom and dad, and it was just like, this sounds like the road to being sad. So I'm going to go live in New York. I'm going to be like working film, do something with TV, went into broadcast journalism. But as we got into college, we started noticing when we'd have friends over, we would get out the guitar and all sing together. I think we were singing like Adele or just, never mind, I'll find someone, all that stuff. Like just sing, like just, but
it's so cool
that,
how you can just casually like lift your voice. It's like, oh man, that sounds really good. When I try to sing at my best, I sound like Screech. So it's okay.
That's
so
not
what in no, very true. My mom said, she said, I always tell her, Mom, I can't sing. She says everyone can sing, not everyone can sing well. So we all can sing. But okay, so going back, you said so in college you got to a point where you're like, okay, I don't want to be in church. I want to do the opposite. Obviously your parents, you saw certain things, and then what? And where did y'all go to college, by the way?
Oh yeah, Troy University. Have you heard of it? It's a small.
All three? Yeah, in Alabama, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we were so conditioned to do everything together. Truly. Taylor and I came down together. Logan moved. He didn't even get to have the dorm experience because he moved right in with us his freshman year.
Well,
I like it.
I got a free college experience my freshman year to go sing, and I was going to be an ultrasound technician, which is like, what? Why am I doing that? And my dad, Madison was about to leave and go to Troy. Logan was still in high school, and my dad was like, you know that you're supposed to be doing music. Like, don't do something just because the money's good. Like, you have to know what you're passionate about. And
can you say that one more time? Because that's something that people need to hear.
That changed the course of my life. My dad, instead of supporting me when I'm studying to be an ultrasound technician, which he's like, that's fine, but you're not passionate about that. He was like, you need to be doing music. And like, what would you do if you never got paid? Like, what are you passionate about? Because it doesn't matter. The money will never satisfy. It's what has God called you to do. So I just jumped ship and headed to Troy sophomore year, just kind of picked up and left and went to be with Madison. And then Logan quickly, once he left high school, he came on down there too. And so then we're all three just back together, like, all right, cool, glad we're together, but what are we doing?
Okay, so backtrack. One thing that you mentioned is the money. And you said your dad told you, don't do something just because it's paying. If it's not fulfilling. Why do you think, and anyone can answer this, why do you think that people settle for doing things just because it's paying the bill, even if it's not fulfilling to them?
Well, shoot, I know a lot of people, like I was talking to a girl at small group last night, if you don't come from very much, and that is like not knowing what you're going to eat and not knowing if you grew up poor, then you feel like, okay, well, if I eliminate this barrier, then I'm going to be happy. And I don't think that I don't know. Logan, you answer this better, but it really is one of those things that, okay, this is a huge barrier. So
I think that you're correct, Matt. And even if you don't make it strictly a rich poor thing, uncertainty, if you can eliminate uncertainty in any way, I feel like we sell out pretty simply as the human race. Like if you watch any sort of game show, do you want to wait for what's behind door number 2, or would you rather take this guarantee in front of you? And we take the guarantee because we fear uncertainty rather than praise what blessing could come. And so whether or not you're
That's good.
poor, I totally get that. I think that being afraid of uncertainty runs in everybody's blood at a certain level. And so, and then, for us, like when I'm thinking about chasing money, I know that it's not always like, oh, the man wants to be the provider, but I think that we all have our own insecurities and things that play in behind the scenes. And like you said, Taylor, I think that we assume that having enough money will get us over whatever hurdle. And so it's easy to feel like, well, it's one less thing for me to have to worry about. You know what I mean? Even if it's as simple as, oh, I just don't want to have to worry about it. But even that, Joshua, I watch you and you're a savvy investor with your money. Even people that have money can be afraid of uncertainty, and they can hoard their money, and they can not allow it to work. So yeah, that's saying a lot to say a little, but I think that fearing uncertainty makes us sell ourselves short.
So for you all being in college, and like you said, Taylor, most people when you're in college, the goal is to get your degree, and then you get a job, 9 to 5, whatever it could be that pays the bill. What was the next step for y'all leaving Troy on the journey that you have set out on? Like once y'all graduated, what was the mindset?
I got a job. I got a marketing job, and it was an entry level salary, but to me it was thousands of dollars. Like I was so used to, when you're used to being in college and then you get a salary, I would just wait till it would fill up and I would just move some to savings. Like it's such a crazy lifestyle to not ever check your bank account, just to have money rolling in. And my rent was so cheap.
And you think it's gonna last?
I probably cried. It was such a high stress job, and we had already started going to the studio and already started like toying around with pursuing music, and then just going every day to this job. It was, I already knew within the first year, I'm like, all right, this isn't going to last, but I've got to I felt like I needed to keep going. So I would if I needed to fall back on something, it wasn't showing that I was a job hopper,
Yes.
I want to be like, okay, well, then if music doesn't work out, I need to spend at least 3 years at this place. So it looks like I'm a loyal person. So
understandable. Go ahead, Logan.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Well, I said I'll give you the exclusive. I've never given this answer to this question, but
okay.
To me, I walked out of college and into music honestly expecting it to not work out because everything else had not for me. If that makes any sense. Like I was not recruited the way that I wanted to be as an athlete, and I made good grades, but I wasn't the valedictorian. And, I was searching so much for something to be my identity. And to this point, nothing was. So when it was time to have a music career, I was sort of just like, great, like I'll give it my best. But low key in my heart, a little bit was just waiting for it to not work out. And I think that
another thing to fail at.
Yeah. And I know that our identity is rooted in the person of Jesus, and it's not cool to say the answer. I was looking for something to identify myself as, but I had always had Jesus plus something, and over time I had allowed the Jesus to just be there and not get much attention, and it was me the athlete, me the singer, me the whatever, and so I walked. It's no wonder that it took us so long to figure out what we were doing, because my identity was so heavily rooted in stuff that was just gonna flop.
So you speak a little bit on identity, and Taylor, I think that you spoke on country music. Okay, now what from college did y'all go into country music? Was that a tie-in? Like, what was that path? Because that was so obviously right now y'all are in Christian music. How did that matriculate?
So our grandfather comes in after college, we win this video competition and we get to open for Dave Barnes and Andrew Ripp, and the show is like sold out. And I think everybody was just like, what? Like, okay, this is like, it's not a lot, but it's something. So Granddad comes in and he was like, he worked in music publishing, he worked in Souls, and was like, if you guys want me to help you, my connections are in country. Do you want to give this a shot? And I was so excited because I just studied music business in college. And so I was like, either way, I'm going to do something with music. So like, I'm going to dive in. And we were all three just like, yeah, let's do it. We weren't really close to our grandfather growing up. He wasn't around a lot. And then all of a sudden he's there and we're saying, we love each other. It was like the family feeling. It was like, man, maybe God brought us together just for that, to be reconciled and put back together. But so I go to Nashville, I'm doing an internship. Madison moves up there, and then Logan comes quickly whenever he gets done. We just keep like following each other around. Like, well, what are you doing? All right, cool. But we get up there, and Josh, when you moved to Nashville, like we weren't big shots at Troy or anything, but like we knew everybody. And then you go to Nashville and you are a nobody. We were a nobody. It was a very lonely feeling. You go to the store, you don't recognize a soul, and you're just starting over, and everybody's doing music up here. So we got humbled real quick. And
Taylor, do you remember trying to show this one guy a demo of a song that we really liked? And after the intro, he was like, I really can't listen to it because that drum lick was so awful.
Really? Huh?
Turned it off. And it was just the reality of like, from our hometown, people would have been like, yeah, this is great. But just absolutely like, I can't even listen to your music. It's so bad. Like we were getting that kind of and it just takes you to a place where like people would ask like, oh, do you play? And I would say no. Yeah. Or like, are you pursuing music? And I would just lie and just be like, I have a marketing job, because people like they were. Peace. Sorry, Taylor, I interrupted you. What were you saying?
I had a question for you all. What was it like coming from, is Hartselle small? Is it like a small, tight knit? Okay. What is it like going from a place where you kind of mentioned, because that's a real thing, especially in the age range, I suppose. For a lot of people that listen to me, they're kind of moving a little bit because of jobs or away from family, whatever it could be. How was that? I mean, honestly, like, how was that adjustment just as people moving to an entirely new city where, like you said, everyone is kind of in the same competition? Because there's a lot of people that move here for music.
Just enough. And people, if they say that they are not lonely and insecure, they're lying.
Liars.
It's so hard. It's just so basically, you need to know when you leave college and you try to do anything that you're pursuing your dreams, you are just going to get beat up for a little while. And that's okay, because it ultimately is probably better for you and you learn a lot. But I went home a lot. And that's weird too, because then you're just like, man, I don't belong here on their couch and I don't belong in my apartment.
Yeah, home being our hometown. You went home a lot, back to where back to high school. And I think I went to one football game after I graduated high school, and I was like, this is a nightmare. Like, I don't know. I'm like, this is horrifying. But I think to round that out, what Taylor's saying, sorry, I'm sitting in direct sunlight, to round out what Taylor's saying, but maybe in an encouraging way too, like for you people that are listening and you're moving to a new city, like, let me just save you a tremendous amount of time. The most attractive thing that you can be to your friend group is yourself. I feel like I wasted so much time in Nashville trying to like some combination of trying to flex or trying to make things sound better than they were, and like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but for people to be your real friend, they have to meet the real you. And so if you're like, I'm new here and things aren't going great, but I'm happy to be here, people are so much more likely to just like surround you and pick you up. But if you feel the need to like make it sound better, then they can't see that you need community. So they're just gonna be like, oh, he's good. Like, that guy's always got it going on. So just let me save you some years of lonely nights when nobody knows you're sad. Just like let them know. Tell the people in your life.
I have
And
a story. Oh no, you Taylor.
oh no, you got it.
No,
Look at that sibling mannership. I like it. Madison, what you got?
Okay, so here would be something to culminate my first year living in Nashville. Taylor had gone home to visit mom and dad to leave. I was in Nashville by myself, and then I'm like, I'm gonna go to the pool at my apartment complex so I can meet. And there's only 3 couples there, and they're all like kissing in the pool. So I'm standing in the pool, but I don't know where to look because I can't just like watch them kiss. So I just stare at the ceiling or I stare at the sky. Because it really,
That's
I'm
how
like,
it is,
ooh,
though.
here to make friends, and then just stare into heaven and be like, God, why am I so alone? But I will wrap up our country music career, because basically we do what Logan says. We're meeting people, we're lying, and just be like, yeah, I'm just working with the producers, we're about to pitch some stuff to some label, and it's just like, you're not doing anything. We're writing songs. It is so true. It's one of those things
That's
where
funny.
like, why? And then, sorry, actually, Taylor, take it over. My dog's barking.
Well, what the heck are you gonna say?
I have something. I have something to add. Yeah, that's Otter the man screaming in the background. I think too, like for anybody that's moving to Nashville for music, one of the biggest mistakes that we made is that we were waiting for a reason to write music, and the people in my estimation that are succeeding are writing in mass volume. They're writing all the time. They're meeting people through writing and making relationships that way. So don't wait until you have a record coming out or a record deal to write. Just write a ton of songs, right? As a way to hang out and meet people. Because I feel that way. I lived here for 5 years and I just like wrote some. And then in the past year, we wrote over 60 songs just because we like cared about it. And it just matters. So anyway, Matt, you can pick back up where you were.
Well, Taylor, did you have something?
Yes. So this is what I would say, whatever your career is and wherever you're going, I stand by it that if you can get a routine and put the local church into that routine, there's nothing better, because you're going to start doing the same thing, going to the gym, go to the same coffee shop. Just like when you were a kid, your mom tells you where you're going, but you have a routine. When you get old, do the same thing, and you'll just start running into people. Instead of just coming up and feeling like I don't really know what I'm doing, I would just go do 100 things all the time. There was no structure in my life. Started going to church and picked a church and plugged in, everything fell into place. So like, I hate that girl, but it's true. Go to church. Your mom wasn't crazy. It's real.
That's
So
good. When did y'all? Yeah, go ahead, Madison.
No, so it's 2017, and I would say that this was a complete low for us as a group and individually, or I mean, personally.
Yeah.
Logan started doing so much more stuff with cheer to the point where like he was gone more than he was here. Taylor was like engaged to Steven, and so she was spending a ton of time in New York. My only job was video editing, so I was alone. We weren't in church, and so it was basically like I felt like how can we even have a career if we're not all together? We had nothing that we were specifically going for, so it was just like I kind of just felt like, okay, well, music is over, and now I don't have a career or any friends, and so I was personally so sad. And I go to the yoga class because I am just like desperate to turn things around, and I get there and the instructor has called in sick. And so everyone's like, oh, it's canceled. And I was like, nope, let's wait a minute. Me and Taylor were there, and I was like, does anyone know how to teach yoga? And no one raised their hand. I'm like, okay, well then I'm going to do it. And so me and Taylor co-taught the yoga class, and guess who was in the room? Kristen Ragsdale, our pastor. And through that that interaction, I felt like she had so much joy and she was just smiling. And then when I found out that she was a pastor's wife, I was like, okay, God, I'm gonna go to church. And it was basically like I already went to our first church meeting with the idea that I was going to join, tithe, serve. Like I didn't feel like I had the luxury to church shop or try to figure out what I needed because I couldn't trust myself anymore. Like what I needed got me in town so depressed, so sad. So we went to the first meeting, we met everybody, and you can just see if you were looking at like the stock of our lives after completely committing to just going to church and never missing and like plugging into the body, you can just see like our life skyrocket from there.
That's very real. That is very real. One, shout out Kristen, Ragsdale. Yeah. That is amazing what you say, because you could tell start to finish for you all, this is a God thing. And I think that's something definitely to make it clear, like to people is I try to tell people like God blesses, like he gives, he wants to be intimate with us and he wants to give us good things. But most of the time, I think you just said this, it's us doing the things like I got to do this and then I'm going to be happy.
Right.
And we out here hurt because that's exactly how 2017. Dang, that's crazy. That was probably around the same time of year where I was out here struggling. Yeah. Okay. So you get plugged in. So you get plugged into the hills. You're into the hills. One thing that you mentioned as well, Madison, that I think people need to understand is to be successful as a group, regardless of if you're siblings or not, you have to spend time with each other. And so right now, y'all had a lot of things going on. Logan, I don't think we mentioned as well, y'all won a gold medalist or All-American. What's the official?
Yeah, so I am a world champion for the U.S. national team as a cheerleader, for those who are unaware. The cheerleading is not an Olympic sport, but we do have a world championship. And so once a year, a new team is selected each year based off of one tryout. And then that team competes once for a gold medal. And then you start over.
Okay, solid. So world champion officially. So for y'all, when came the point? So you're doing country music, wasn't going well. You're getting plugged into the hills. When did that shift come? As you just kind of talked about the trajectory change after being at yoga. What transpired next? Like, I guess a specific question, how did you get into Christian music?
Yeah. So, I mean, I want to say too, at this point in the story, we got plugged into church, and then it wasn't like that Sunday they called us down to the altar and offered us a record deal. Like we then began to have.
That's funny.
So, when the Bible says that the Lord rewards those who diligently seek him. And so getting plugged in was a great start for us because we were at zero, but we had to continue to diligently seek him. And our version of that was to be on service teams. And specifically for us, not on musical service teams, because we felt like I don't want to walk into this new season of my life and then just turn around and make it all about me again and about music and about on and on. So we plugged ourselves in the best way we could. And then to give you the kind of short, I was on the coffee team and we were doing setup in the mornings and, and set up and tear down. And then, of course, just how it goes, because we then later held the job. It's hard to fill up a church worship team of volunteers every week. And so they asked us if we would play. And that was just a few weeks in. And then a few months after we started going, the current worship leader stepped down. The position needed to be filled and they offered it to us. And so then we were much more heavily involved in worship, and in the congregation was our now manager, Ron Smith. And so Pastor John asked us if we would meet with Ron, and Ron didn't have much interest in our country music, but he liked us. And then we played him some of our new stuff, which sounds a lot more like the music we make now. And he was interested at that point. And so I can hand it off to one of the girls. But now we have met with our manager, and we're loving Jesus and leading worship and still in country music.
Mhm.
Somebody go.
So right before, anyway, so we had recently written some country music that we really like. I still like to this day. We spent our own money and had it produced, and we were getting ready to like release it independently like we had done before. And Ron came to us and was like, okay, I have an idea. What if you took the parameters off of your writing and quit like trying to make it country or try to make it Christian or try to make anything, but just like write from your heart and see what happens. I wonder, he's like, y'all have so much joy on Sundays, and then all the music you turn in for country is so sad. Like, I wonder if you just like, just took everything off, what would your heart write? And so for me, I was like a little bit sad because it just felt I always felt like we were so close. Like I felt like, oh, we were just one country meeting away, or we'd always have like little glimpses of stuff. And so it felt like I am too old to start over. And I've never even written a Christian song. Like I was just so sad. I'm like, let's just go for it. But we sat down together and we wrote a song called Hey Jesus. And in the middle of all of us were crying. And one of my favorite lines, it's talking about Jesus, the woman caught in adultery. And like, he comes to her and says like, do you see anyone here to judge you? Neither do I. And the line is, I thought he'd take his place in the judge's seat, but he wrote in the sand for me. And we just cried. And it just made us realize, like, okay, I don't know if I'll ever be successful either way. And I'm not successful now. So let's just lay this down and give it a shot. And I'm telling you, it wasn't but 6 weeks before we already had a Christian record deal, just in making the switch. So
how did that? Yeah, go ahead, Taylor.
I just think that, the story of Abraham and Isaac, when Abraham, it's taking him forever to get pregnant for them to have a child. And then finally he has a son. And then God is like, now I need you to take him up and you're going to sacrifice to me. And I did feel that way when it was like, we weren't crushing it in country music, but little things would happen. We would get a song on Sirius XM. We would have like little pieces of momentum. And so I was like, man, what if I give this up and it still flops? And then I'm just out of options. If you flop in Christian music, you really just have to sit down and say, this isn't going to work out.
It's a wrap. Yeah.
You can go back to country and be like, oh, I was just kidding. Like, it doesn't make sense.
But, man, that is the one thing that it really hits my soul, is that God didn't take Isaac from Abraham. He gave him something better. He gave him 1 billion children. He gave him a generation. And so for us to lay down this one dream that you felt like was everything to you, in return, God let us play the Ryman, and we're not even country artists. That happened. Is that because we said, okay, Lord, we'll surrender our small idea and you'll give us 1 billion dreams that we always wanted, but he makes them possible and in a better way.
That's pretty cool.
Shout me down.
Yeah, that I like that. That's pretty cool, because it's just so interesting how when we put aside our own like ideas for ourselves, when we say, all right, I'm gonna not be in control, and it's hard, like that's a hard thing, but when we can really submit to his will, he really is good. Like you said, to be able to be in the Ryman and y'all not even country music artists, like that's pretty incredible. How did with a record label, so you had Hey Jesus came out, so did that come out, did that release, or
no, it hasn't been released, but we just played it at the Ryman so it may come out.
Okay,
it's definitely
so
coming
Yeah,
out with Caleb. So
we're scheming
Okay.
for it.
okay, so everybody listening, be on the lookout. Hey Jesus by Cain
I
Band.
can't wait.
So record label. So y'all signed the record deal.
Uh-huh.
Okay, you officially signed the record deal. Who are y'all signed with?
Provident.
Provident Label Group, which is
Provident. Shout
Sony.
out Provident Label Group with Sony. I appreciate y'all. If y'all listen to this, thank y'all for taking care of our people. Now we'll fast forward. You sign with the label. You have an album that comes out. Your social media presence is growing. You're on YouTube, Instagram. We'll get into all the usernames and all of that. You now have a song that's number 2. How do you go from signing a deal to now having a song that's number 2 in the country? Like, what is this process like? I mean, even just a few touching points, like with COVID, y'all were supposed to go on tour with Zach Williams. Is that his name?
Williams, yeah.
Yeah.
You're on a tour with Zach Williams. I remember we all took pictures. Boom, boom. COVID comes, and now life is kind of changed. Like, what? I guess if you could summarize the last maybe 8 to 10 months, like
Woo.
what? How would you put it?
Yeah. I mean, so
You
the
got it.
theme continues, right? Because our first day at church, we didn't get offered a record deal and God raining down streams from heaven. We get signed, which again would, in our estimation, have represented like the finish line. And it was a pretty like grueling summer. It was pretty like tough on our mental to say like, okay, God, I'm living in your promise. I'm right where I prayed I would be, and it looks different than I thought it would. Like, how do I handle this? And I just think that it says so much about our God and our team that in spite of everything that could and should be going wrong, you're just watching this one song climb the chart while everything, as other stuff starts to fall, you're just seeing a little rise up, just rising up the chart week after week. And but really, I mean, if somebody wants to pick up in July/August, that's where I've said this before, but quarantine was like quicksand for me, Joshua, because I wanted so badly for it to be over. And the harder I fought to make my life seem normal again, the more I sank into how badly it was going. And when I finally just like, okay, I'm going to be home. I'm going to be present. I'm going to work on house projects. I'm going to like be here because God, you have me here. I feel like it was the next day, things just turned.
I want to ask you a question on that. What is it being? Because to me, it's always cool. Like, there are two things that I think a lot of people really long to be if they had the talent, or really three. I would say it's to be an actor, an artist, or an athlete. Yes. Typically, someone wants to be one of those three if they had the capabilities. You just brought up a good point. During COVID, now, like, your tour obviously was halted, right? And then y'all are kind of back home, living lockdown like everyone else is kind of going through lockdown. But how is life being an artist when you're not performing? Like, how is that? How do you? Sad.
Oh, I will say that. Okay, got canceled. Tour. We loved it. Like, it was one of those things where, like, Taylor and I talked about we were gonna love it or hate it, because like living on a tour bus, like, you're kind of like, it's sort of like glamorous camping, because like you don't have a shower, you're kind of just sort of like, you're sort of roughing it, but it's also kind of glamorous, you know what I mean? Okay. They had a caterer, they had like,
really,
it was just yes
I remember because I remember before y'all went on tour, y'all had kind of talked. I think maybe it was me and Logan or something. We had kind of talked. It might have been Taylor. And we had talked about the living quarters and whatnot. I was like, dang, that don't sound, too good. Oh. But it was different. It was different than what you anticipated.
Oh my gosh. So like, I sleep great on the bus. Our first show, we get a standing ovation with
really
crazy 1,000 people. It was so, like, talk about just like the best consecutive days of our lives to just like gone. So it was So
Yeah,
people
well,
were
I mean,
texting me saying like, "I'm so sorry you lost the tour," and I was like, "No, don't be sorry. We didn't lose it. It's just postponed."
right.
So Logan, what?
I mean, like the tangible growth. So it was like, okay, incredible. Our record comes out at midnight. We have our first show. We get a standing ovation. In one weekend, our Instagram following grew 1,000 people. We were like, this is gonna be great. Like we're just do this every weekend, and we're off to the races. And we come home and gosh, just yeah. I mean, I'll spare you the version of the quarantine story you've heard from everybody, but I was so selfishly wanting this quarantine to be over for me, and all of my prayers were so slanted towards my own gain. And it's like I can look back and see how I was not praying for the world. I was not praying for the people that were sick. I was praying that my tour would restart.
Yep.
You know, and it's just like I had to get myself into a whole different posture and a whole different space to where I'm in a place now where if quarantine doesn't end, then we'll figure it out, because I didn't get myself here in the first place. And I'll continue to work hard, and I'll continue to do my part. But I just was before quarantine, I was putting my hope in what my tour could do for my career, not what my God could do for my career.
That's good.
And when that tour was taken away, I realized where my hope was. And so now, if we get to go back out, Lord willing, my hope will be in the right place.
Yeah.
Do you think, a few questions, what is it like? What was it like the first performance of the tour? What is it like when you step out on stage? And I imagine, no idea, because I've never done it, but I imagine somewhat like the beginning of the football game where we're about to run out in the swamp. There's 90,000 people out there, and you're just like, but you know, you got the butterflies. What is it like those moments where you're like we're about to go out there? Like, what is that like? Like, take us kind of through that, I guess.
We were sick. Taylor, you could talk about this, but it was one of those things that I took a selfie. I need to find it, but it was like I was like could not calm down. Taylor,
Taylor, what you got, Taylor?
Yeah. In every show, it doesn't matter how big or small. It is, I would imagine, I mean, I haven't played football, but that feeling where you're like, I could throw up right before it came. But once you hit that first note or make that first tackle, the first down, you're like, let's do this.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
So it's exciting. And I think that God gives you don't recreate those feelings. God is like nudging you, saying, you're in my will, or like, this is right. Like that excitement that you get. I'm so thankful for that. I know it feels like nausea at first, but I do know that it's like I just feel like he smiles on us, especially that first show when we play. You can back me up on this, Grady. It's like you have to put in all the work before you get to that show.
Correct.
And there's no shortcut to get there. You have to do it. And that I want to brag on Madison and Logan that all summer and all throughout this crazy lockdown, they just worked really hard. And like, even when you don't have a show, doing stuff online, just anything that people asked us to do, we said yes. Yeah. It doesn't what your career is. I feel like if you can do that, then you really get to go out there on the field and you get to experience that. I think it's God's pleasure. He's just so happy. But you don't get that unless you've put in the work, truly.
Here's something that we've learned about preparation that's different than how we used to. Basically, for us to be prepared for a show, we have to be able to do it all without thinking, because something will happen. Like there will be a big distraction, something will go out with the sound. And so prepared for me doesn't mean just like, oh, I can remember the stuff. I have to be able to play without thinking, and I need to be able to sing my harmony part independently of Taylor and Logan. And that means I'm prepared. So now I just love my career. We got to do a youth group thing. There was like 200 kids there. Like this was recently. I feel like we're getting to do shows again. And we were able to take our ears out and just listen to them sing Rise Up. Like they sang it without us. And now it's just like, it was all worth it.
Just a few more questions. What is it like to hear when someone is singing your song? To hear when somebody else knows your song?
That will never not be cool to me. That will never not be cool to me. And every time it comes on the radio, I stay in the car until it's over. And so, somebody asked me, they were like, do you get tired of hearing it? And like, it fills me with such thankfulness, not pride. And so that's why I sit and listen to it. It's not because I just love the way my voice sounds or whatever. Like, I'm really proud of how it turned out. But I think I'll always forever, when my song comes on the radio, stop. And that's a little memorial stone for me. That's like, it's just like, look at what you did, God. Look at what you did.
That's pretty cool, man.
But anyway, Matt, you can.
No, we were at a church. We did something in North Carolina the other day, and we saw that there was a choir, and we're like, "Hey, do y'all know Rise Up?" And they're like, "Yeah." And we're like, "Do y'all want to do it with us?" And then that was just so cool that they knew it. Yeah. And then one of the girls, she was like, "This is crazy." I was like, "What's crazy?" Like it was truly like I thought that she was talking about like something that happened. She's like, "This," and I was like, "Oh, yeah, like that's so cool." It just feels really cool to hold that space in someone's life. And if they think it's so cool that they're singing with you, then I just touch their hair and we're just sort of like, no, like you show me I'm a person like you and I think you're really cool. This is crazy. It's fun to have that position in someone's life to make them feel special. That's
good. Do y'all ever, is there any, Logan, you kind of mentioned something about like pride. Because I see you all, even backtrack. Like I try to be transparent, always transparent. When y'all left, so there was a Sunday, and I know we took a picture because I posted a picture. Okay, but my prayer was for y'all, like that they don't get big headed, like that because I'm like, man, like these are good people, and they're going on tour. This is before y'all go on tour, and y'all are about to go on tour, and I'm like, man, like these are good people. Like I've seen, like working in sports, like you see what. Notoriety, followers, fame, money, whatever it can be, success, you can see how it can corrupt people. For you all, it does not seem like that has happened. If anything, it kind of seems like y'all have more gratitude and more humility about yourselves. How have you all been able to remain humble? Like 15 million streams, ain't that's what it's at? Like, that's a lot. How do you remain humble when you got people that know your songs, when you see your song going up the chart? Like, how do you kind of remain rooted, I would say?
Well, the type of compliments that we get are truly not anything that we can brag about. Like, for instance, like the letters that we get, which is so cool that we get letters, but someone will say like, I was in the hospital and your song came on and God's presence came in, and like they talk about, and it's stuff that you can't
really brag on that.
I wasn't in your hospital room. Like it's so cool, but I do really feel like that is the benefit, is I don't think that God will ever allow us to be worshiped. Like that feeling when I used to want to do country music, I truly in my heart of hearts wanted people from high school to think that I became something big. That was truly, I felt like I was a loser in high school, and I wanted people to see me and be like, oh wow, she really did something. But whenever I chose to go into Christian music, I don't feel like that's that impressive to that many people. It's just because I feel like that's what I'm supposed to do, So I don't know. I feel like staying humble, if anything, pride in the R form comes in insecurity, because being insecure is a pride issue. It's just like the negative of it. It's still all about you, but so concerned with how you're coming off. I feel like we go there more often than thinking that we're doing so good, but it's still pride. Either way, like we have to be like less of us, more of Jesus. But I think that it's easy for us to get really insecure. But yeah, keep talking to me. I don't know. maybe maybe getting big headed is in our future, and we'll just always have to fight against that. But right now, it just feels like
I was gonna.
us.
Yeah, go ahead, Taylor.
I was gonna say in being transparent, I was like, man, I'm truly struggling now more with like, is my voice good enough? Do I even like the way I sound? Like, these are real thoughts that I had this weekend. So it's almost like, it's really good that you said that, Matt, because we need to be aware that like the devil is coming at you, and maybe it doesn't look like, oh yeah, we think we're the best. Maybe he's stealing all my time and my thoughts, me being insecure, overthinking everything, where it's just focus on myself, but just not in a way. Also, Joshua, maybe it's because we ain't made any money yet. So maybe
Hey, that's funny.
But I do feel like, Josh, you're one of those people that I really feel like God has given us a friendship with you, because you will always, I have no doubt that you'll be like, y'all are acting crazy. You need to check yourself. And I really appreciate that. I feel like I could just go to you for that. You've always been so truthful and honest in the best way. So I am that we have people like you in our lives that, I mean, what if we're not calling each other out, then what are we doing?
Yeah, it's really is needed, because I think, I mean, very similar, like with the documentary that came out, I found myself like, it was one of those things, and this might be similar in the music field, but this was something that we've really been working on for 5 years. And for you hear like, oh, it's gonna happen. Like, I'm like, okay, if it happens, it's cool. If not, it is what it is. And then you get the date put on it. Like, there is a day I get the phone call, and then you get the date. Like, okay, 11/11 at such and such time. This is when it's coming out. And then once that happened, I started feeling like, dang, I got to get my Instagram right. I got to make sure my highlights are right. I got to make sure that my podcast is this and this thing. And you quickly something that God was like, okay, I'm giving you this so that you can glorify me, becomes something that is taking your attention on everything except him. So I definitely feel that. But again, I'm appreciative for y'all that, like I said, you've stayed rooted. And I think it just shines an example to people that, hey, like, y'all, you can have success out here while still remaining who you are. Just a final few questions for you all is, based on where everything that y'all done so far, you know, you got a song that's not only just a song, a whole album, you're everything y'all are doing right now is gaining momentum. It seems y'all really just, I mean, killing it, like, for lack of a better terms, like, y'all really are doing your thing out here. What is next? Like, what is it that keeps you motivated to say, all right, we want to still strive for something? Like, what is that next step that y'all, if there is a goal? I know, you know, God's will, we know that, okay? Yeah. However, if there's a tangible next step, benchmark, goal, checkpoint, what is that?
I've been talking so much. I'll let y'all talk.
No, let's do 1, 2, 3. Like, everybody.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Everybody. Nobody's escaping this question.
Okay. I have so much to look forward to, and the stuff that we really get into are the like weird creative stuff. So like, we will be able to talk about this more, but we're just planning surprise for some, and we get, I can't share. I'll just tell you about it later once we say what it is. But
so y'all have a surprise coming out that we need. Y'all have a surprise coming out that we need to be tuned in for.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's really exciting. We're playing our Christmas show. We should find out today what it looks like for our spring, and we're going to be on some sort of spring tour. That's actually going to happen because I think it's going to be drive-in based, so we can like guarantee that it will happen. So that's pretty cool. And then our next song is Yes He Can, that's going to radio. So, but as far as like tangible goals for us, I really want to amp up our live show, like include like lighting, audio, visual. That's something that we can control, and I really want to amp that up and make it like a Taylor.
And the song, Yes He Can. Be on the lookout. Yes He Can. Okay. Taylor, what you got?
Okay. Well, I have been thinking a lot about the creative side, and I think that God has given us a gift to write songs in a way that it translates to people that maybe they don't know Christian lingo. Like The Commission is one of my favorite songs. And so I feel like yesterday, we tried to do a song right and it was just hard. And when I got home, I was like, man, we just tried to write a song in our own strength. We didn't even pray before. We didn't even ask the Holy Spirit, like, what do you want to talk about? And so I think going forward, we really, all those years in country music, I think we have a gift and it's to tell a story. And so that's my personal goal for the band is like, what story do we need to be talking about? And for us, even when we're on the road, to be aware of that and to be writing. I just feel like there's specific things we're supposed to. So that's my goal.
Love it. Okay. Logan.
Okay. We had an opportunity at one of our North Carolina shows. We were playing for some guys who are, they are in recovery from addiction. And during the show, we were able to have Emily come up and tell her story as a part of what we did. And it really just lit a fire under me that, like, I feel so excited that my goal for us is that as we do start to do more live shows, that we keep what we do non-traditional and we keep it exactly how we grew up, which is
that's good.
I want our concert experience to be a ministry experience. And so I think there's a lot of room for us to bring Taylor's husband out when it fits, and Madison's husband out when it fits, and Emily and you, and like I'm excited that as my goal always with our music career was, this is kind of a dated reference now, but I used to watch a TV show called MTV's Made.
Okay.
And so on the show, someone would come on and say, I want to learn how to surf. And they would bring out a professional surfer and they would teach this person how to surf on the show. And that was the whole thing, was whatever the person wanted to learn, they would bring a professional to do it. And so my hope is that as our career succeeds, we can just like turn and grab the hands of the people that got us there in the first place and say, like, like however that ties in with GSA and however that ties in with the Hills. And I'm just excited that whatever our opportunities as they start to grow, that we'll just continue to kind of bring our whole crew with us. And
yes,
that's the goal for me.
That's good, because that, I believe someone said is that right now the greatest currency we have is influence. Because if you can't influence people, you can get them to do whatever they want. If you can influence, some people do that in a positive manner, some people do that in a negative manner. For you all, as your career continues to grow, I no doubt you will gain influence. And as long as you continue, I think just to stay rooted and just to do good, like y'all have a lot of, that's why I'm like, y'all can do a lot out here, like three siblings, talented, rooted in the Lord, like gorgeous, like y'all have great marriages and all these things. I'm like, just so much that God has in store, which I think is the cool thing. Like right now, I'm like, hey, they got a number 2 song. They're gonna have plenty more number 1 songs. You know what I mean? So it really is only the start. So yeah. Okay. I always say I have one more question, but I have a few more actually. So first will be, where can people connect with you all?
We run our socials, so it just comes to our phone. So if people at Cain the Band on Instagram or just Cain on Facebook, that comes to our phones. I would love for someone to say that they heard our story on your podcast. If you're listening to this, please send us a message, because I just want to know who's listening.
Perfect. So that's at Cain, CAIN the band. Okay.
Yeah, and that's I think our TikTok is that as well. And we're starting to take over the Google search, which is good, but yeah, just got to spell it right. CAIN, Cain the Band, and you can find us. And in whatever way you connect to us, you do connect directly to us. I think that's one thing that we hope to always keep, is that we run our social media, and those messages come directly to us.
Love it. Last question for you all. You know, y'all have done a whole lot. You've came from humble beginnings. You're on your path. You're on your journey. As things are today, for each of you. So one question each. They actually have 2 questions. So this is not the last question. Okay, so I have 2 questions left. What is one thing that you are most grateful for?
Like in life or in music?
And whatever you got.
Okay.
I can go. Or do you have yours, Matt?
Yeah, I just want to say
Madison, what you got?
Okay, go.
Jared.
Jared, her husband. Shout out JBJ.
Shout out.
Jared Johnson.
JBJ.
I mean, okay, here's an example of a text I received this morning, and this plays into my career as well. I love you, BB. Today is Superstar Day. Just I get that kind of stuff every day. Just sort of
say that text. Say that text one more time.
It is say like, I love you, BB. Today is Superstar Day.
Superstar Day.
Or he'll, like, when we played the Ryman, he came home with coffee and was like, Happy Ryman Day. So he just super celebrates everything,
cares.
and then he's very emotionally level, so he's able to like just I don't know. Like
awesome.
I feel like artist career can be really up and down. So
he's so constant. Yeah.
Jared is intentional, is what it seems like Jared is. Yeah. Shout out Jared. Jared, if you listen to this, shout out you, bro. Logan.
Okay, so I am thankful. If you go all the way back to the beginning, our dad pursued Christian music when he was younger than us, but relatively our age, and then went into being a full-time minister and gave up his music dream. And I'm so thankful that we had 2 parents that encouraged us, that we didn't have to get regular jobs and we didn't have to chase financial stability, and that they saw in us something that we believed we were made for, and they pushed us every step of the way. And I will forever be grateful for parents that didn't say, you need to go to college and you need to get a good job and you need to do X, Y, and Z. And they just allowed us to be led by what God, it's like they raised us and then they trusted that the God inside of us would direct us. And I'm super thankful.
Solid, man. That's good. Awesome. Taylor.
Man,
what do you got?
every day, I just say, thank you, God, so much for my marriage, my siblings. I love them so much. Makes me, they are just, none of this would be possible without having them. Us together is just the dream. And man, we're just, all 3 of us, like, we're so thankful for Jesus and what he did, because without that, we don't have a song to sing or a story to tell.
Yeah, that's great.
Know who he is today and you're listening, you need to go to John 1 and read about this man, because he just brings all good things to your life, and we're just so grateful that he cares about our individual stories. He didn't have to, but he cares about what we're doing, and it's just the best.
Love it. Love it.
Love you, Josh, Grady.
Yeah, I love y'all too. And I thank y'all. I will have one more question, but before we do that, again, connect with them at Cain the Band. Music is available everywhere. So y'all do have a YouTube channel, yes?
We do.
Yeah, so they're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Apple Music, Spotify, all other things. So they're everywhere. No reason not to check them out. Connect with them. Be on the lookout for Yes He Can. Next song that will be on the radio. For you all, if there is one message, one vision. Hi, Dan, what's up? Willie. Yeah, I'm like, Dan, what's up? Hi, Willie. You want to see Chance?
Oh, yeah.
Chance is outside. He's out there taking a sun.
Look at
him.
Boy.
I need to go get mine. I need to go get mine too then, huh? Okay.
He's looking outside. I said, where's Chance?
Where's that one?
Oh my goodness.
Who's that?
Hello.
Hey, who's here? Look at
He said, bye.
No, they're all here, bud. Chance, they're all here, bud. They're right
I
there.
would say hey to Chance.
Chance.
Do you hear a
Hello,
talkie?
boy. boy.
Oh, buddy.
Get off
Funny.
me.
Love him. Love him.
Oh, my
Love the bubs.
Really?
Hi, Otter.
Chance. Come here. Can you say hi?
Okay, yes.
Hey to Chance.
Hello.
See, look here over there looking out the window. Okay.
So cute.
Okay,
sorry.
so for those that are listening on the audio, we just had a dog Zoom date, is what we just did. Okay, so last question for you all. If there is one takeaway, one association, one truth that people can grasp from Cain as a whole, if people see Cain the band, you all as siblings, as artists, as believers, as whatever, and they're like, there is one thing that they can take away from you and apply it to their life or just have knowledge of it, what is the message that you all want to put out to the world?
Ooh.
That's a good question.
Okay, I will say your life has value, but you will find it plugging into the body of Christ.
Simple. Straight to it.
Straight to
Snap.
it.
Logan, what you got? Is that it? Or is that universal?
Well,
or do
I
we
mean,
want to go
I
around?
I think that is true and universal for us. I mean, I think I would add through our lives to this point, I can see at every step that when God asks you to put something down, it is because he wants room in your hands for something better.
That's good.
Always. If he asks you to put it down, it's because he's trying to give you something better. And I think that it becomes a discipline thing. Madison has talked about this before, because it's not always just going to be like, here's the better thing, but something better is on the way, and I need room in your life for it. And so we're just we're learning that still, but
loss at first.
Yeah.
Following Jesus usually does feel like a loss at some point.
That's good. That's good. I like that. Taylor, anything else that you'll want to add?
I mean, I support everything that they said. This can be fun. Life is so fun. And when you're walking with Jesus, it is going to be hard sometimes, but it can be like you're running downhill. We always say that. Just wind blowing, like you're just running fast as you can. That's all I got to say. Just thankful for you, Josh. Thank you for the time. And I'm just thankful that we have a voice. I mean,
Yeah.
but it feels like we're going to use it for the right thing. So
Awesome. Okay. Well, I appreciate you all. This has been great. This has been, this is awesome. I've been looking forward to getting y'all on here. So again, this is, the Cain Band, just great, amazing people. I appreciate y'all, anybody listening to this, for tuning in. Definitely connect with them. If you are listening, if you're watching on YouTube, whatever, a subscription, a review. Logan left me, I think you might have left the first review ever on Agent Talk. Yeah, so Logan left the first review. So anyone listening, y'all know all the things I would appreciate. That's all we got. So again, connect with them. If y'all need anything, any viewers, if y'all got anything, hit them up, hit us up. This is Agent Talk, Joshua Grady here with the Cain Band, and we're out.
Bye.